Thursday, April 18th, 2013 in Ontario. All right, we just left off talking about Israel and how President Obama is basically saluting and basically showing who he really works for. Talking about the 65th anniversary of an independent Israel founded by the Zionist Theodore Herzl. Talking about how Israel's making a lot of money now. Maybe the U.S. should start scaling back on all the aid, but no, they say they want 400 million more for their own coffers, defense budget. Basically, Israel going on saying that we can invade Iran, we could do it by ourselves, but then U.S. saying, oh, don't worry, we'll back you. Kerry trying to blame Iran for attack on Iraq camp, which, like I said, was probably carried out by them before the elections to create instability. Also, you have chemical weapons. Now they want to do this investigation now. Britain and France all of a sudden want to do an investigation after Syria has been calling for it for almost a month now. That's carried out by terrorists. So now, and of course, Israel is concerned about securing chemical weapons inside Syria. So they're going to keep playing that chemical weapons or weapons of mass destruction inside Syria as a pretext and link it to Iran, of course, because, you know, we all know that, right? Once Syria goes down, it could be Iran next. Who knows? But it's all about energy, right? And pipelines and natural gas. Like Qatar running through Syria, or Israel's new pipeline with now they're exporting gas. Before they're actually in a negative. So Irish boycott, anti-Israel obsession permeates very distant societies divorced from our reality. Marking Holocaust Remembrance Day last week, Prime Minister Netanyahu said that the murderous hate against Jews has not gone away. It has simply been replaced by murderous hate against the Jewish state. Says this undeniable truth does not only apply to outright genocidal enemies. It says anti-Israel obsession permeates very distant societies. It says Irish teachers presented Israel with a new expression of this hate, I guess. It says the Teachers Union of Ireland approved a boycott that obliges all members to cease all cultural and academic collaboration with Israel, including the exchanges of scientists, students, and academic personalities, as well as all cooperation and research programs. So just show you, this isn't racism. This doesn't just come from nowhere. They like to go on the offensive. Then, as people are reacting to it and they're trying to be on the defense, they say, "Oh, you're attacking us. You're offending us." Well, you look at the statistics. It says even though European Americans founded Harvard, the most basically important university, prestigious in America, and basically 65% or 68% of American populations are founded by European Americans. The university is now under powerful Jewish influence. So it goes on here and it says here that it practiced blatant racial discrimination against better qualified European American students, I'm sure other ones too, Hispanic, Asians even, and only allows 20% of the Harvard class to be white as compared to allowing 25% of it to Jews, who are only 1.8% of the American population. So you say, well, they're smarter, right? But it says, although Jews outnumber European and Asian Americans, their academic success at the highest level at Harvard is quite dismal. It says here, in reality, European Americans and Asian American students at Harvard in 2011 crushed Jewish students in achieving the highest levels of academic achievement, yet no journalists in American media will even dare to mention this racial discrimination. So there you go. So we were just talking about cultural invasion in that, right? So they say the biggest losers will be the Irish students whose worldview has just been substantially narrowed by the very teachers charged with broadening their outlooks. Look at what it says. It says here that this is all more considering that Israel is a powerhouse of learning, science, and technology, all from which ordinary Irish citizens unknowingly benefit daily. Whatever academic exchange existed pre-boycott was certainly one-sided, having benefited the Irish significantly more than it did Israelis. So you can see where the Jewish supremacism is coming here, man. Their anti-Israel boycott is every bit as liberal as Nazi book burning. So they like using that Nazi book burning. When you go back to the history, you can see that they were burning mostly Jewish Zionist books, communist books. And they were keeping German writers, Austrian writers. They were trying to maintain their culture. It wasn't just about censorship, like in China, right? They blocked that. They blocked a recent movie, the Django. Why? Because it's nothing but blood and gore. It's horrible. We'll get into that in later videos. I mean, yeah, not really for censorship at all, but it's kind of one-sided, hypocritical when you're doing it one side and then the other way, and there's at least some kind of defense that's being put up from the outside, kind of like North Korea. That's like the extreme of it. Pink Floyd's Waters, U.S. has knee-jerk support for Israel. The singer says he's thinking through his call to boycott Israel. Claims Washington doesn't truly want to broker a peace deal with the Palestinians. Says last month he told a pro-Palestinian website that sanctions and boycotts were the most effective way to go in dealing with the Jewish state. So what's he cautious over? He has plenty to be cautious over. Retribution, character assassination. Poland's new Jewish museum to celebrate life, not revisit the Holocaust. So in the heart of the former Warsaw Ghetto, where Jews rebelled against their German oppressors 70 years ago, Poland is unveiling a new museum to commemorate 1,000 years of Jewish life and culture. One survivor said, "It's important to see Auschwitz, but it's more important to see where Jews lived for 1,000 years and where they have created so much." Former Israeli intelligence operative, now working for hedge funds, a company staffed with former operatives of Israel's top intelligence agencies and founded with the help of former head of the Mossad, is being used by hedge funds looking for an edge in the financial markets. He's become increasingly popular on Wall Street. The firm employs about 40 former intelligence operatives and analysts. It was founded in 2009 with an eye towards harnessing the intelligence talent in Israel for the use in the corporate sector, the private sector. The new Nazis of Spain. So it says here on Saturday, Popular Party Secretary General Maria Dolores de Cospedal, number 2 of the governing party in Spain, said that she knew that she was going to get criticized, but this was pure Nazism. On Sunday, rather than resigning, she repeated it. For more precision, she added that going to someone's house to harass him is a totalitarian attitude comparable to what occurred in the 30s in a European country, a reference to Nazis marking the homes of Jews. But these, quote, Nazis are folks who are standing up to the banks and draconian mortgage laws that the government is hell-bent on protecting, and they have a special word for their action. They called it escrache. It had become popular in Argentina in 1995 after the president had pardoned collaborators of the junta. It says, unlike the U.S., Spanish homeowners borrow under a draconian law where the bank, after the eviction, saddles ex-homeowners with the debt for life. That sounds like a good part of the usury system. German academics found anti-Euro party ahead of polls. A group of German economists and academics have founded a new political party which is opposed to the European single currency, the euro. They held a founding conference in the German capital in Berlin on Sunday. The main goal of the party is orderly dissolution of the euro, as its leaders believe the formation of the euro was the historic mistake. So it says here that because of the euro, people in southern Europe don't hesitate to express their disgust towards Germany using old Nazi comparisons, party founder said in a speech. It says here the euro is a failure and it would be bad if we continue to believe in this fairy tale. If the euro fails, Europe doesn't fail. Greece must combat racial violence, says the Council of Europe. Says the Commissioner for Human Rights has told Greece to toughen its measures to combat a surge in massive racial violence. He said they're seriously concerned by the increase in hate crimes targeting immigrants in the southern European nation. The Commissioner expressed deep concern by persistent reports of ill treatment, including torture committed by law enforcement officials, notably against migrants and Roma. Says analysts linked the rise to increase of popularity for the ultra-rightist group Golden Dawn, which won a shocking 18 seats of the 300-seat parliament in June 2020. Israeli police head to the U.S. to aid in Boston Marathon bombing investigation. The investigation into Monday's deadly bombing at the Boston Marathon has officially gone international. Law enforcement officials from Israel have been sent to the U.S. to assist in the probe. So maybe they're going to patch up any loose ends for their most recent operation, Black Ops. Said here says he's dispatched officials to the Boston, Massachusetts area or departments where they will meet with the FBI and other authorities. The visit will center on the Boston Marathon bombings and deepening professional cooperation between the law enforcement agencies of both countries. It said they'd actually planned the trip before the deadly pair of bombings, but they're going to shift focus in order to see how help from abroad can expand the investigation. Let's not forget that get this out of the way, NYPD opens branch in Israel. That's right. The New York Police Department opened its Israeli branch in the Sharon District Police Headquarters. So, there you go. You don't have to fly to New York to meet members of the police department considered to be the best in the world. Attacks on Bay Area data and electricity transmission infrastructure and apparent acts of sabotage in the South Bay early Tuesday. Someone cut fiber optic cables, knocking out some 911 service, and then fired a rifle at a PG&E substation, Santa Clara County Sheriff said. They were basically what? The objective appeared to have been shutting down the system. Says they don't have a suspect, but it seems like the perpetrator or perpetrators to me. So, pretty interesting, because it's kind of a form of terrorism, or they're testing the system, either our government or someone else's government. Along with that, and of course, what? This letter, right? Who sent the letters to the president with this Ricin chemical toxin? So that's another form, I guess. Paul Kevin Curtis, Racine letter suspect revealed to be Democrat. So reported to be the man who sent the Racine letters to President Obama, U.S. Senator, has been revealed to be a liberal Democrat. That's right. I like to pin everything on right-wing extremists. It's weird, you had the Pentagon shooter. He was a conspiracy theorist, and he was actually left, but they were saying he was right-wing conservative. You had others similar to him. I believe it was the Chick-fil-A guy. He was actually he went in there and tried to fire shots at a basically a conservative consortium group or something. And he was, kind of like a left-wing quote terrorist. I'm not sure about Joseph Stack, the guy that flew in the IRS. I think they tried to say he was right-wing. I think he was just pissed off at the IRS. But he may have been left-wing as well. But they'd like to do that a lot. Then it says here the suspect says that he's a conspiracy theorist. So has a colorful online presence. So penchant for conspiracy theories. He offers warnings on his Facebook that your friend's body parts are at risk of harvesting for the black market. And he goes on talking about how he's had to go through a bunch of attacks. They burned down his home, killed his dogs. I don't know if all this is true. Destroyed his marriage. They trolled. They came into my house, took my computers. But Boston Marathon bomb similar to Bill Ayers' Weather Underground nail bomb. Though they compiled a list of domestic bombings since 1886, including the list are two by Bill Ayers, former group The Weather Underground Ayers, and his fellow former terrorist wife, Bernadine Dorn, are both close friends to President Obama, who did not call yesterday's Boston Marathon bombings an act of terror. But who knows? From John Rappaport's website, he's saying that it didn't appear to be a pressure cooker. So, neighbor says Southern California man killed by homeland bomb was eccentric. So we already covered this before. The man who made a homeland explosive blew up at his home was an eccentric who bicycled around his neighborhood dispensing anti-government conspiracy pamphlets. So he got blown up. So you're seeing a trend here. Texas plant told it could not explode. So this goes on here and it says that they're fine, right? No problem here. Testing the system, right? So they blew it up. Bomb threat clears Boston courthouse. This, of course, was from what was it, the day after, I believe, the 17th. So just to get more fear in the air so they can lock everything down, along with the envelopes and that. CIA obtains false ideas from Washington Department of Licensing. So they issued nearly 300 fictitious driver's licenses to the CIA, the state of Washington did. So just remember that as far as all the suspects go. Reporting on Boston bombing leads to conflicting answers. I noticed that CNN bungles report of dark-skinned male arrested in Boston bombing case. They badly botched a report on a darkly skinned male. I think they do this stuff just so they can get people like the law enforcement agencies to say, you know what, you need to shut up, media. Well, the same thing around the Sandy Hook thing as well, the operation of Sandy Hook. Napolitano, Drudge Report is not credible. And Drudge Report, I think, is controlled opposition like InfoWars and that, but what? It's alternative media, so alternative media is not credible. That's how I interpret it. Chaos engulfs Boston as mainstream media can't get its cover story right. Like what? Teen, I'm not the Boston Marathon bomber. So yeah, he's a 17-year-old. They thought he was one of the two potential suspects spotted by law enforcement. Man assaults Muslim woman following reports of dark-skinned Boston bombing suspect. Let's hope the Boston Marathon bomber is a white American. There's a double standard. White terrorists are dealt with as lone wolves, and Islamists are an existential threat. So where's this coming from? This is coming from a Jewish Zionist source. Former AIPAC staffer David Sirota. So we'll we'll return on that note. This is GGN and I'm Darko. Thank you.